Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Red Pill Garage. On today's episode, I'm going to show you how to safely change a flat tyre on your car. Okay, you suspect you have a flat tyre. Make sure you're parked in a safe place, away from traffic, and stop the car on a hard flat surface. Then set the parking brake. Then shift the shift lever to park, or if you have a manual transmission car, place it in reverse. And once you've done that, turn the emergency flashes on and turn the engine off. Whatever you do, don't continue driving with a flat tyre. Even a short distance with a flat tyre can damage the tyre and the wheel beyond repair, and you could also get into a car accident. Okay, I'll be replacing the left-hand rear tyre, and if your vehicle's fitted with a safety triangle, make sure you place that at a safe distance behind the vehicle. Also, if you had a wheel chock, you'd want to place that in front of the front right hand side tyre. Okay, next you can raise or remove the deck board. And then grab the jack handle and the wheel wrench. Now for the ladies out there, I'm going to show you a little trick. If you find that the wheel nuts are too tight to get off, you'd want to stand on the wheel wrench, but make sure you're going in an anti-clockwise direction. And you'll find this will be really easy to get off. All you want to do at this stage is just crack the wheel nuts loose. Don't unscrew them all the way. Now we're going to use our jack to raise the vehicle. But before we do that, we need to locate the jacking point as not to cause any damage to the car. These jacking points are reinforced, so they are a lot stronger, and if you were to jack it up in a different spot, more than likely you probably will bend that sill panel. You also want to make sure the jack makes contact with the center of that jacking point, because if it catches it on the edge, it may just slip off. Okay, now it's time to put your wheel wrench and your jack extension together to raise the vehicle. Now some manufacturers have slightly different designs, but they are pretty simple to use. And if you're not sure, just go through your owner's manual just to make sure you're doing it the correct way. If you're wondering how high do I need to jack up the car, you only need to raise the vehicle until the tyre is slightly raised off the ground, or about an inch or so. Okay, the next step is to remove the wheel nuts. I've just sped up the video here as not to bore you guys. Now when removing the tyre, make sure you grab it from the front or the sides. Never place your hand behind the tyre. If the tyre was to fall off, your hand will be crushed between the wheel and the disc. When resting the tyre on the ground, place the tyre so that the wheel design faces up to avoid scratching the wheel surface. Now it's time to loosen and remove the centre fastener. Just be careful not to catch your fingers between the spare tyre and the body of the car, as this can lead to nasty cuts. Don't forget, when grabbing the spare tyre, make sure you grab it from the front or sides. Never place your hands in the back. You may find when you're placing the wheel back onto the car, it may want to come off. Just place your foot in the 6 o'clock position. It's important to remember, when replacing an aluminium wheel with an aluminium wheel, turn the wheel nuts until the washers come in contact with the disc wheel. That's the washer there, and that's the disc wheel. That washer is supposed to sit flush up against the disc wheel. And to achieve this, the disc wheel seats must be perfectly lined up with the wheel studs. Getting it wrong can result in the wheel nuts working their way loose and then eventually the wheel falling off. Now the same rules apply to a steel wheel. When replacing a steel wheel with a steel wheel, tighten the wheel nuts until the tapered portion comes in contact with the tapered portion of the wheel, which is also called a disc wheel seat. Now there's less chances of you screwing up fitting on a steel wheel, but I have seen many times over the years where people have put the wheel nuts on back to front. You have to remember the tapered portion of the wheel nut must come in contact with the disc wheel seat of the wheel. Okay, now it's time to tighten each wheel nut 2 or 3 times, and the reason why we do this is to make sure the wheel sits true and flush up against the disc. Now the reason why we don't tighten the wheel nuts up all in one go, because the wheel can actually kink on the disc hub surface, and then the wheel nuts would work their way loose, resulting in the wheel coming off the car. Okay, now I'm going to tighten the wheel nuts up for the second time around. And finally the third time, and the correct sequence for this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Never tighten your wheel nuts up in a circular direction, always crisscross or a star action. I would also strongly recommend to go see your mechanic to correctly torque down the wheel nuts, just to make sure they're not too loose or too tight. On this particular car, a Toyota Corolla, it's 103 Newton meters of torque. Okay, once you've done that, now it's time to pull out the flat tyre from underneath the car and to knock out the center cap to put on the wheel that's on the car. And the reason why I like to put the wheel under the car, if anything was to go wrong and that jack was to fail, the car wouldn't fall down and crush you. Okay, that center cap should just snap in place. In a different scenario, if you had a rear wheel drive car and you had a flat tyre on the front, before you get a chance to tighten up those wheel nuts, you'd have to slowly lower the car down. When the tyre just touches the ground, then you can start to tighten up the wheel nuts. Otherwise, the wheel would just be free spinning and you wouldn't be able to tighten those wheel nuts up. Once you've fully lowered the car down, it's important to put back the tools where you got them from, because a lot of people just throw them in the back of the car, and then from time to time I'll get customers coming into my shop complaining about a noise or vibration in the back of their car. And usually it's these things that are lying around, thrown wherever, not put back in its place, and it costs them money. So make sure you put them back in those foam cutouts where they come from. And finally, don't forget to put your tyre back in the car. Over the years, I've had people come in asking for a new wheel and tyre because they've left their old one on the side of the road thinking because they've had a flat, it's no good. But in reality, it can be repaired. And that's how you safely change a flat tyre on your car. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button not to miss out on any future videos. And I'll see you on the next episode of Red Pill Garage. Thanks for watching.